This is Mr. Hanna with your Chapter 2 test review. Your test will be on Friday, so you need to start studying. You have 24 questions. Of those, 21 of them will be multiple choice, and the last 3 will be short answer. Your first question asks you to translate the sentence into an equation. So if you have something like 12 plus 5 times x is x decreased by 2, 12 plus 5 times x, notice you don't need a parentheses, you don't need a dot, you don't need anything, 5 times x, means equals, x decreased means minus 2. Number 2 asks you to translate the equation into a verbal sentence, and it's multiple choice, so you'll be able to pick the right ones. This is x to the 4th power plus 10 is 50 minus x. Now, if you have anything 4 or bigger, you have to put power. If you have a 2, you could put squared. You can still put to the 2nd power. If you have a 3, you could put cubed, or you could put to the 3rd power. Problems 3 through 8 are solve one-step equations. And anytime you're solving an equation, you do the opposite to get the variable by itself. So if I have something like x plus 12 equals 4, I got to get the x by itself. The opposite of plus 12 is minus 12. So I subtract 12 from both sides. I get x equals minus 8. Now don't get stuck in the habit of moving things from the left side of the equation to the right side, because on this particular equation, the variable is on the right side. We want to get x by itself. I got to get rid of this minus 30. Notice, I'm not worried about this plus sign. I'm worried about what's in front of 30. Plus 30 cancels out minus 30. So I add 30 to both sides. It's important that whenever you're doing something on both sides, you make sure that that equal sign is between it. I've seen some people draw a line where the equal sign is just to separate the two sides of the equations. That's not a bad idea. 30 and minus 10 is 20. 6p equals 72. We are multiplying by 6, so we have to divide to get rid of it. P equals 12. And you're going to have one with fractions. Of course, the calculator will do the fractions for you. All you have to worry about is 3/5 is positive, so I have to subtract 3/5 from both sides. And 4/9 minus 3/5 is negative 7/45. Problems 9 and 10 are solved two-step equations, and almost always we add or subtract first. So if we have a problem like 3x plus 6 equals 42, we got to get rid of the plus 6 first, because it's the last thing we said, working backwards. 3 times x plus 6. Got to get rid of the plus 6. Minus 6 from both sides gives us 3x equals 36. Divide by 3, x is 12. Over here I got y divided by minus 2 minus 5 equals 3. So the last thing I said before the equals was minus 5. We got to get rid of that by adding 5 to both sides. That leaves us y divided by minus 2 equals 8. I'm dividing by minus 2, so I got to multiply by minus 2. Notice I got to use that minus sign too. Don't change the sign of that. Y equals negative 16. 11 through 12, or 11 and 12, they want you to write an equation, then solve it. I only did one example of that. 4 less than 1/3 a number is 8. Whenever you see 1/3 a number or 1/3 of a number, that means that fraction times that variable or number. And then 4 less than means we're subtracting 4 from what went before. So it's a two-step equation. We got to get rid of the minus 4. We add 4 to both sides. That gives us 1/3 x equals 12. So I got to multiply by the reciprocal. You flip the fraction and multiply both sides by that. So I have 3 over 1. And 3 over 1 times 12, I could put that over 1. I get 36. Number 13, you're going to have to write the equation and then solve, but you're not going to get one answer. In this problem, you're going to get 5. If you had 4 consecutive, you'd get 4. If you had 3, you'd get 3. But it's multiple choice. You'll see the equation like this, and then you'll see these answers right after it. Anytime you're dealing with consecutive integers, your first one is x. If it is odd or even, your second one is x plus 2 because odd or even numbers are 2 apart. Your third one would be x plus 4, your fourth one would be x plus 6, your fifth one would be x plus 8 because the fifth odd number would be 8 more than the first one. So I have 5 x's, so 5x, 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 is 20. So 5x plus 20 equals negative 25. Subtract 20 from both sides, I get 5x equals negative 45. Divide by 5, I get x. My first number is negative 9. That's my smallest one. Add 2, I get negative 7. Add 4, I get negative 5. Add 6, I get negative 3. Add 8, I get negative 1. Those are my 5 consecutive odd integers. And if you're curious, add them up. You get negative 27. Now you need to pay particular attention to problems 14 and 15 on this review because we haven't really gone over tax or discount problems. And one of them, you may have tax and a discount. Remember that tax adds to your cost, but discount subtracts. So if they want you to find the final price of a $50 pair of shoes with a $10 discount and 7% tax, the first thing you have to do is change these percents to decimals. Move the decimal 2 places to the left. 10% becomes 0.10. 7% becomes 0.07. And you always do the discount before you figure the tax because you're not doing a tax on something you didn't actually have to pay. So to figure out the discount price, we take the original price, $50, minus the discount rate, 0.10 times the original price. That's 50. 0.1 times 50 is 5. So 50 minus 5 is 45. That's the discount price. And we use this 45 for the next step because we're figuring tax on $45, not on $50. So we go 45 plus 0.07 times 45 equals 45 plus 3.15. It's money, so we go to 2 decimal places. And that gives us $48.15. If you have just a discount problem, then you do just the discount part. If you have just a tax problem, you do take your original price, change your tax to a rate, and do that. Add. If you have both, do the discount first, then the tax. 16 is a literal equation. They want you to solve for W, which means we got to get W by itself. We do the opposite. Well, I have V equals LWH. I want to get W by itself. I got to get rid of L and H, which are multiplying by W. So I have to divide by L and H, which gives me W equals V divided by LH. 17 through 19 are solved multi-step equations. I'll give you a hint. None of them will have no solution or all real numbers as an answer, and you can tell that as soon as you saw the test because it won't have that. You have to do the distributed property first. You got to get rid of any parentheses. Since I can't add 2x and 3, I got to multiply. If you have any like terms on the same side, and in this problem you don't, you'd combine those before you try to move the variables together. So I do my distributed property. 4 times 2x is 8x, 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 9 is 27. I subtract 3x from both sides. I get 5x plus 12 equals 27. I subtract 12 from both sides. I get 5x equals 15. I divide by 5 to get x equals 3. Problems 20 and 21 are solved proportions. You simply cross multiply and then divide. So x times 56 is 56x. 8 times 14 is 112. Divide by 56 to get x equals 2. Problem 22 is a short answer problem. It asks, do the ratios form a proportion? Well, you use your cross products. 4 times 15 is 60. 3 times 18 is 54. Since they are not equal, these do not form a proportion. If they came out to be equal, then your answer would be yes. And since it's short answer, we want to see this. 23 and 24, they ask you to write and solve an equation. It's a story problem. You're going to have to read it carefully. You have something like Billy traveled 95 miles to camp. When he got there, the odometer that measures how far you've gone. Red, 12,355 miles. What was the reading at the start of the trip? Well, we don't know the reading at the start of the trip. That's X, start of the trip. So X plus the 95 that he went to camp equals the 12,355. So then to figure out what the odometer was at the beginning of the test, or at the beginning of the trip, we subtract 95 from both sides. We get X equals 12,160 miles. It's a unit, you better have it. Like I said, 24 is also write and solve an equation. Good luck. And yeah, if you study, that will help you have good luck.